Legend tells of 7 mystical balls that can call forth the eternal dragon and grant their possessor one wish.
So often we search for the best show, the best movie, the best physical media, but in search of this pursuit, we often forget what started it in the first place. And it's not something we can remember, at least explicitly. However, it's a feeling, an ineffable feeling deep within us that can be refound if we just look. When it comes to movie viewing, I am a snob. I love collecting Blu-Rays and 4K Blu-Rays. They are objectively the best way to experience film and TV at home, with high and ultra high definition, uncompressed colors and luminance. They shit all over streaming any day of the week, but that's a topic for another day. Over the last several years, I've really enjoyed collecting this medium and watching movies at home the way they were intended.
Hold it in your hand and see the artwork and the posters, just have the names, it's it's a real thing.
However, while on a Blu-ray hunt at an op shop, I came across a couple of VHSs. So I just decided to grab them because, one, films like Austin Powers are an absolute guilty pleasure of mine.
Yeah, baby!
And two, I thought the spine, well, the bulky spine of them would be a really nice decor to take home with me. But sometime later, I found a working VHS player, and when I chucked some VHSs on, I experienced a feeling that I hadn't felt in decades. Now, for some context, I grew up in the early 2000s, so VHSs were very much a core part of my childhood. And also, so were kids' cartoons on TV. One show in particular that was just burnt into my memories, and that is Dragon Ball Z. As a kid growing up, Dragon Ball was this epic and violent fighting martial arts show that just seemed kind of hardcore. As a kid, I only saw bits and pieces of the series and maybe 1 or 2 of the movies on VHS. But there are a number of years in which I didn't actually see any of the show until 2013, in which I decided to actually watch the whole series, or 291 episodes of Dragon Ball Z. But the weird thing is, the show isn't how I remembered it as a toddler. I couldn't pinpoint why. It was kind of just a feeling. It almost didn't seem as epic as I remembered. But that's okay, because I still became a huge fan of the show and have since watched pretty much every series in the franchise, most of the movies, and even watched DBZ a second time. But in those 10 plus years, it wasn't until very recently that I think I figured out why my memory of the show deviated from the way it actually is. So after getting the VHS player out, I chucked on a copy of the original Dragon Ball Broly movie, obviously on VHS, and it hit me, a nostalgic feeling that wasn't just induced by the aesthetic of tape, rather this feeling that I was finally watching the show I saw in the early 2000s and hadn't seen since. Seeing the ads before the movie started of other Dragon Ball shows and anime was actually an experience I'd kind of forgotten about. Then the movie started. It felt like it was made for VHS. The 4:3 aspect ratio, hand-drawn animation, and noughties rock. All these elements synergized together to remind me how it felt to be a kid in the early 2000s. Dragon Ball, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, sci-fi and fantasy worlds, all reachable through this flawed yet tangible medium that is VHS. After all, that's all you want to do as a kid, is just escape to imaginary worlds and lives. Be a Jedi, be a martial artist, be a knight, or a wizard. In a way, this dream never left me, but growing up, it manifested itself in different ways. Most prominently, me being a filmmaker, which brings us back to why I'm a snob when it comes to physical media. Although Blu-rays and 4K Blu-rays are objectively the best format when it comes to home viewing of movies and TV, they can never recreate that feeling that put us in pursuit of them in the first place. This imagination, this fantasy, this dream of being transported to other lives and worlds. But VHS does instill this feeling back into me. I've realized as an artist, we don't have to be in pursuit of the best of something, even if it is objectively and quantifiably the best. Rather, whatever makes us feel the way that child inside us did when they decided to be an artist, whether they knew it or not. Because if instilling ineffable feelings into our audience isn't the point of art, then I don't know what is. Yeah, boy. It's kind of sad to think that the small blip of VHS's existence will eventually fade from living memory. That being said, I'm glad that I grew up with it, because if I didn't, I don't know if I'd have the same drive to create art that I do now. But then again, maybe I'm just a hipster wanker. Did you grow up with VHS? What are some of your best memories of watching it? And don't forget to subscribe, because I'm going to keep doing videos as dorky and nerdy as this one. So I'll see you there.